Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen news, this time for the week ending the 10th of June. We gather all the week's official newses and infos into an accessible UI for you to watch and digest. Alpha 3.0 schedule report has had some changes this week. It's been changed when its target window, it's had some new features added, they've basically rescheduled it to be a bit more accurate for a thorough testing phase as well. There have been delays, but let's have a talk about it. The targeted release windows now stand at Evocati between the 21st of June and 5th of July. The PTU going from the 9th of July to the 20th of July, the release window there, and the live release is now windowed at the 21st to the 27th of July. So some features were delayed but sit within the new release window and will support additional features. There might be some more polish to some of the features, and there's been delays because of blockers that they have to address as well. So notable additions to Alpha 3.0 from last week. They've added a hint system to aid new players into how to play with the PU and old players with the changes. So we should get some good hints, and it will check your mobi-glass at certain times if you haven't checked it regularly, and show you how to do some bits and bobs. Mission givers are getting more polish, and derelicts are getting some more additional artwork for utilization in the persistent universe. They've been integrating commodities with shop services for buying and selling from ship cargo, and that sort of stuff, and they're also going to be adding some additional functionality with shopping kiosks. There was a critical fault that they had to repair with the repair system, and that needed to be fixed. They've been working on the entity update component scheduler, which is going to improve performance by prioritising entities based on distance and importance. That's going to extend past 3.0. Work on that feature is going to be ongoing, and they need to make continual improvements to that. In the run up to 3.0, it's going to be made as best as it can be, and then after that it will still continue to get improvements. They've been adding the initial implementation of the comms system in Alpha 3.0 as well, which is going to allow players to hail and say, I need a landing, or talk to NPCs in stations at lots of different places in the verse. They're moving the asteroid system that they currently have to the new physics on demand system to allow the server and clients to dynamically create and simulate any portion of an asteroid field rather than just what's directly in front or near a player. Exposure improvements as well. They're adding support for the peripheral vision to be taken into account of what's rendered, not just what's directly on screen. This is going to avoid situations where you're in space and something's very bright next to you, but you're not directly looking at it, or it's just off screen. Spectrum version 0.3.5 has been released. It's got some additional features there as well. Tags with the forum category are now more prominent and can be visited independently. You can bookmark tags directly through your sidebar and rename your bookmarks aliases by visiting the bookmarks manager. The individual manufacturer and ship forums are returning to the shipyard. Users can also now choose what thread that they view in, so they can choose personally whether they want to see nested or linear threads rather than the original poster choosing. And forum threads with highlighted replies will now be marked as such in the threads list, which is going to be important for seeing CIG staff posts or leadership from your org and that sort of stuff. This week's sneaky peeky was of the universal inventory UI. It shows off how you'll be dealing with your inventory and initiating transfers of items and cargo between locations around the verse. It also got shown a bit more in the ATV, at least the mobi-glass overhaul did. Let's take a look at what the UK studio have been doing over the last month. So the groundwork for the air traffic control system has been completed. They're now moving on to functions like communicating with the system from game. You will be able to request landing on stations or the landing zone that you want to land at with the player interaction system from your cockpit, like the comm system as well. This will start a conversation with the NPC or the air traffic controller there, and this system will also handle ship requests and spawning too. They have added a hint system for the user interface for 3.0 that's going to help players that are new with the game, but also it's going to help people understand spawning ships, understanding mechanics. Even old players are going to get something from that with the new mechanics that are getting added. They're creating a spawn system that can be attached to any object and will play the appropriate lie down, spawn or log out animations. They've been removing a lot of the old, less efficient flow graph that they had with the old Spawn system. The Mission Broker and Manager apps for the Mobiglass are being revamped, and they've started to come together. It's going to show missions and act as a quest log. They've also improved the way that NPCs move around corners and corridors, making their movements feel more natural. They've completed a large amount of work from fog to lighting to render to texture holograms, as well as improving ground lighting and the reflections on planets. Weapon animations have been completed with the Gemini I-86 ballistic pistol, and they've been updating the Arrowhead Sniper as well. That's almost complete. They've had a VFX polish on all FPS weapons for 3.0. That's continuing at the moment. Hand-to-hand takedowns are now in an animation pass, and they're looking pretty cool, actually. And this is going to be where you come up behind an enemy and that's unaware, and you can take them down, that sort of stuff. AI animations for reacting to sound, standing idle, patrolling, and ready for combat are being tested. The Derby studio are finishing off Alpha 3.0's facial animations, focusing on Miles Eckhart and Ruto, as well as polishing Miles's body animations. They have been gathering more facial and audio capture to flesh out the PU as well. The VFX team are testing a new lighting entity focusing on smaller scale interior electrical effects and particles that look like sparks as well. They've been messing around with like a partly sparky system. The Levski exterior VFX pass is underway, adding flames to refineries and ambience, doing the finishing touches there. The Cutlass flight-ready VFX, including thrusters and interior damage, are also complete. Atmospheric flight controls and engine trails are getting tested. The Origin 600 concept sail is ready to go, and it should be the next ship we see on concept sail in the near future. They've been working on the ground vehicles, or some new ones, and they're starting to work on a whole new round of ships. Ship weapons work on the Clausen-Werner laser repeaters using the style from the FPS weapons that we already have there. They've been working on that. They also worked on the Maxox neutron repeaters for ships, which look pretty cool. Further work on outposts and habitation pods, including comm arrays, water collectors, and communication units have been worked on. Space scene, vistas, and the general look of space in 3.0 is getting a facelift. Large volumes of space dust and visual interest, including distant interstellar nebula, have been worked on, and these are starting to look really cool and are going to be used obviously much past 3.0 as well. There's been progress and additions to the truck stops that are going to be around the verse as well, with materials, modules, structural elements all coming together. They've added and been adding detail to solar panels, landing pads, and hull pieces. They're going to be modular, but they're not going to look repetitive. Outposts have had set dressing and lighting passes too. They've added emergency shouters dotted around moons for Alpha 3.0. They talk about an illegal drug lab that's also going to be discoverable and probably part of the mission or an Easter egg. The exterior of the outposts have had visual tweaks for various biomes too. We're going to see in-law brands and decals appearing in the verse on these outposts, procedurally swapping brands on certain outposts based on who owns them. The Reclaimer drone and engine room have been completed. The exterior damage setup has also been completed on that Reclaimer, and it's starting to come together really nicely. The derelict ships have also been finished off for 3.0 missions, scenarios, and exploration. They're going to have material variations based on the planet and biome and how long they're supposed to have been there, with different dirt build-ups and that sort of stuff. The Gladius cockpit has also been revamped and relit with a better view now too, for the better interaction experience that we're going to have. The Hull C is getting landing gear complete and detailing. Its inner lighting has also been worked on too in its inner areas. The Arena Commander and Star Marine are getting some love in 3.0 as well. Dying Star has added procedural asteroids, as we discussed a little bit earlier, and Star Marine maps have had a various balance changes done on them. The Mobiglass overhaul, UIs and apps are getting a lot of attention, with a new home screen showing atmosphere composition, vitals, and suit status, as well as a much more snappy UI. The player loadout and manager apps are also being worked on too. This is going to allow you to customize your player, and they're going to do something similar for ship customization as well in the persistent universe. They're working towards the mobiGlass using render to texture for better integration into the game as well. Character customization is getting work, so we're going to get some limited character creation options for 3.0, but eventually much more powerful ones. They have some cool planet ambience audio, and ship weapons have been made much more enjoyable audibly. They've done lots of work on audio as well, lots of different setups and lots of improvements across the board. We've also saw an example of different shopping kiosks that we might see in the verse, with a retro one from Grimhex actually working with some cool audio. They've been exploring the look and feel of the coil with fluid simulations for Squadron 42. Not entirely sure what that is, but it was a cool spinny thing. Working on interiors for the Shubin mining outpost as well for Squadron 42. And that's it for this week's news. The monthly report is also out, detailing what the studios have been up to over the last 4 weeks. Link to that and everything else that we have talked about in the description below. I'll get a video up of that report soon, TM. Every month we give away a ship. For June, it's a Freelancer DUR, donated by the Epic Stormfire 962 this month. All you need to do is be subscribed to my YouTube channel and comment on any of my Star Citizen videos during that month, and to be in for a chance to win that. Do you have any questions for me, or about the news this week, or about the monthly report, or Star Citizen's development in general? A special thanks to my Patreons who allow me to create the amount of content I do. If you are interested in becoming one of them, you can find the link to Patreon as well as everything else we've talked about below, as I said a minute ago. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me, and I will see you in the verse.